Everyone is excited for episode 2, but it's not gonna be what you're expecting. Everyone thinks that it's gonna be just like the pilot episode, but it's gonna be far from it, and I'm gonna tell you all the changes that we know, confirmed by Gooseworks and some of Glitch's past, starting off with its length of 18 to 20 minutes, unlike the 25-minute pilot episode. If we look at one of Glitch's past shows, which is their second most popular of Murder Drones, their pilot episode was 26 pushing 27 minutes. But the very next episode that they released, episode 2, was only 17 minutes. And since the Amazing Digital Circuses pilot is 25 pushing 26, my guess is that episode 2 is only going to be 18 to 20 minutes long, which means it's not going to feel as long as the pilot episode, and some people might actually be a little bit disappointed of the length, and will be wanting the next episode even more. But thankfully, once episode 2 comes out, episode 3 will only be 1 or 2 months away rather than a full year. As well, during the episode, it won't just be inside of the tent, which is the only place we really saw in the pilot episode. We'll also get to see more of the digital lake and digital carnival, which Kane was showing Pomni when she had first joined the circus. Or let's say we don't even get to explore those areas. If we do only stay inside of the tent, we'll get to see a lot more of it, because if you look at the tent's blueprint, we can see some boxes labeled structure and some other areas that we just haven't explored yet. As well, we know that there are 5 different floors in the circus, to which we've only seen 2, one of them being the bottom floor, which is where the stage was, and the second floor, which we see has the dorm hall and which Kaufmo fell off of down onto the first floor. But in my opinion, I think we will get to see the digital lake and digital carnival, because when Kane was describing what adventure they were going to do for that day, he says it's going to be an in-house adventure, which means that there are such things as outhouse adventures, probably outside of the tent, either at the lake, carnival, or just outside the tent in the fields, which means we'll get to see a whole new dynamic of how all the characters act when they're outside of the tent. As we know, Zubul doesn't really like to leave her room and she likes to be alone, so we'll see what happens then. We'll also be focusing on a new character. Episode 2 isn't going to focus on Pomni, Jax, Ragath, or anyone who you might think. We'll be focusing on a brand new character, and this was proven because Gooseworks was asked who the next episode will focus on, and she said a character we haven't met yet, which means we could see a character who abstracted come back. However, in my opinion, I don't think that's very likely, so what probably will happen is that a character just like Pomni is going to join the circus, and we'll see what they go through when they join, just like how Pomni had to learn about all the different things inside the circus. We also know that episode 2 is going to get dark, or at least a little bit more adult humored, because when Gooseworks was asked about the target age demographic of the show, she said the show is aimed more towards weird people in their 20s, and that the show isn't going to be suitable to young kids in later episodes. And what's a later episode in the pilot? Episode 2. So we'll probably start to see a little bit more of the adult humor start to shine through with innuendos or suggestive jokes, or we could see the show take a very serious turn. We know with the pilot episode, everything was sort of lighthearted with a bit of dark lore hinted at through some dialogue, but in episode 2, it could be a lot more serious with deeper conversations about things that we just wouldn't expect from the information that we got with the pilot episode. However, don't worry, the episode still will be family friendly, but it will obviously have some humor meant for older audiences sprinkled in there, which young kids, which she said specifically young kids, which probably means under the age of 12, they wouldn't be able to pick up on these jokes. Or if it does take a darker and more serious undertone for the dialogue, then it's possible that younger kids might not be even interested in the show. However, I don't think the change is going to be that drastic, as Glitch obviously has some say-so of how the episode goes, and if they're going to take a complete 180 from the pilot episode to episode 2, then obviously they're going to lose a lot of views, and Glitch nor even Gooseworks would even want that. We even know that the episode won't be what we're expecting, because Gooseworks literally confirmed it herself. When she was asked for a hint about episode 2, she said that the only hint that she'll give us is that nobody has come close to predicting what episode 2 is about yet, and she gets all these predictions from her Tumblr. And I don't know if you've checked her Tumblr, but she gets thousands and thousands of questions per day about episode 2 alone, and if no one has predicted what episode 2 is going to be about yet, then we're totally not going to be able to expect what's coming. I'm pretty sure that with all these people guessing, they would have gotten it right eventually, but since they haven't, what actually could happen is that we aren't getting an episode 2, but an episode -1, because we could see a prequel type episode for episode 2, where we see what the circus was like before Pomni joined. For example, we could see what Kaufmo was like, because we know that no one really liked him, no one really laughed at his jokes, and Kinger thought he was crazy, which is ironic. And we could even see other abstracted characters like Queenie or the other characters X'd out. And just off of my instincts alone, part of me thinks that Bubble wasn't always in the circus, and maybe in episode 2's prequel we could see who Kane's assistant was before. Gooseworks was also asked what the next episode was about, and she says depression, which is interesting because earlier she said that the target age demographic is going to be older and not suitable for young kids. So if she's saying that the next episode is going to be about depression, this means we're going to see a darker side of the Amazing Digital Circus. As Gooseworks has said in the past that the show will take us through all of our emotions, especially with the last episode, which she's hinted to be a cliffhanger and leave us confused. I don't know about you guys, but if that happens, I'm going to be begging for a season 2 because I'm already hyped over episode 2, and if we get left on a cliffhanger, I'm going to be extremely mad. But with these darker tones to the show, we might see some dialogue between Pomni and Ragatha, because we know in the last episode, Pomni literally left Ragatha for dead. When they went to go see Kaufmo and Kaufmo had tackled Ragatha over, Pomni ran away. And then when Kaufmo fell off the balcony, only then Pomni went back for Ragatha, and then she said she was gonna go find Kane. But then even after that, Pomni decided to go through the exit door and seriously leave Ragatha for dead. And at the very end of the episode, when Ragatha finally gets fixed and we see her walk over towards Pomni, we can see some awkward body language, which makes me think that there might be some unresolved feelings between Pomni and Ragatha, which would really show a bit of the depressive side of the show, which Gooseworks just said that's what the next episode's going to be about. If Pomni and Ragatha don't get along, who will Pomni really get along with? She didn't really talk to Gangle, Kinger's crazy, Jax isn't like anyone, Zubal's a loner, there's literally no one else that Pomni has other than Ragatha. So if Ragatha and her aren't friends anymore, then that means that Pomni could get depressed and possibly even abstract. However, I think she probably has plot armor, as she's the main character and she's been posted all over every single community the Amazing Digital Circus has, so they're obviously going to protect her. But this really would be something that we're not expecting. What if Pomni was alone during the whole episode? What would she even do? We know that every time they have an adventure, Kane leaves to go off somewhere, because when they were having their first adventure with the Gloink Queen, Kane went to go have dinner with Bubble, and since we know they can't eat, Kane was literally just bored of the circus members or wanted to leave them alone. So if Kane starts another adventure and Pomni has no one else to talk to, what is she even going to do? It's possible that they could all solve the adventure together, but in my opinion, it seems like the adventures are optional because Zubal planned on just staying in her room the entire time, and Kinger and Gangle were left to solve the adventure while Jax, Pomni, and Ragatha were going to go meet Kaufmo. So the adventures aren't really obtrusive, which means we could see Pomni be alone during the whole episode and not even forced to talk to people through the adventure, which again leads back to the fact that episode 2 could be really depressing. But let me know what you think episode 2 is going to be about down in the comments, or if you think anything in this video was wrong. Thanks for watching, subscribe, and click on this video here.